As I mentioned before, something else you tend to lose quite a lot of when you're having chemotherapy is your sperm. And because of that, it was recommended to me that I actually freeze a sample of my sperm before I started treatment, just to ensure that the grade A genetic stock, which has produced 2 separate tumours in 22 years, can be passed on to future generations. Darwin would be proud. And I'm not sure if anybody here has ever donated or frozen sperm before. Anyone? Circle of sharing? Just me then. Right, well, if you are looking for an experience to, I guess, suck away the last of the already fragile romance of the act of male masturbation, then jizzing in a cup may well be for you. It starts badly enough because you have to have a conversation with your mother that loosely references the act of masturbation. And my mother is in the crowd tonight, so this one's for you, Mumsy. Lukey, I've booked the appointment for you. What appointment? You know, the appointment. Where you produce a sample of yourself. Oh. I bet you're looking forward to that. What do you say to that? But there you are, you find yourself in a fairly down-at-heel wing of the local public hospital, fielding questions about your masturbatory practices from these 2 dorky uncle types who insist on referring to your sperm as the sample and sniggering a little bit every time they say it. Is that a bizarre prerequisite for this job, you know? Inability to talk about sperm without laughing. Just walk into the job interview, sit down. Sperm! Ha! You're hired. Because when you look at it, these guys have a pretty odd existence, you know? They just deal with sperm day in, day out, all the time. And not in the fun way. They just look at sperm, file sperm, freeze sperm, spin sperm really fast, and occasionally get to tell people they're infertile. It's an odd existence. But you know, they give you your instructions, reasonably self-explanatory, hand you a tiny, tiny cup. Then they usher you next door into the Masturbatorium. Not the official name. And the Masturbatorium is essentially a glorified disabled toilet. There's acres of space, so you know, you can really get exciting with it all. And over here, there's a bizarre assortment of 80s porn. There's a toilet over there, makes sense. In that corner, there's a chair done up in that ever-so-erotic, puce-coloured hospital pleather. And then in this corner, there is a weird semi-recliner, which is essentially just a puce-coloured back laid at a 45-degree angle with 2 armrests. Who is masturbating in that position? Had they received complaints about the lack of seatless recliners? Oh, no, Doc, I just can't ejaculate unless I'm forming an exact triangle with the floor and the wall. But I didn't need any of that. I was freestanding. There I was, hunched over, 1983's Playmate of the Month, Jessica, recumbent on some kind of faux revival chaise lounge like a permed, well-to-do sea lion. And all of a sudden, boom, bam, mission accomplished! I have jizzed in that cup. So you take your tiny cup, back to the 2 dorky uncles, who beam at you like they're expecting you to compliment their public hospital-themed self-love dungeon next door. And with pre-snigger half-smiles, ask if everything went okay, which they then inform you is capturing at least 60% of the sample in your tiny, tiny cup. Which I would wager, if you were to use the secret recliner, would be a hell of a task. And after all of this, you wander home sufficiently dejected, and Mum's sitting at the table and she looks up and goes, "How was it?" Weird.